Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are diving into mentality clinical psychology. If you're new here, hi, I'm a licensed therapist. And on this channel we talk about all things mental health. So if you like what you see here, please make sure to like and subscribe so you can be notified when we post new videos every single week. Today we're re-talking about mentality clinical psychology, and that is because last week we talked about mentality and the response was huge. So if you missed that video, make sure to go check it out. But today I wanted to take this one step further and talk about how mentality impacts clinical psychology. How does it show up in the therapeutic relationship? How can it be helpful? How can it be harmful? And I think you're really gonna love this conversation. First, let's review what mentality is. Mentality is the lens through which we view the world. It's the stories that we tell ourselves about what happened to us. It's our beliefs and it's our expectations. So, for example, if somebody has an optimistic mentality, they might believe that good things happen to them. They might have an overall positive expectation of the future. They might believe that people are generally good. That's an optimistic mentality. And then there's other people who have more of a pessimistic mentality, meaning they expect bad things to happen to them. They expect the worst case scenario. They have negative beliefs. People are generally bad. Those are examples of a pessimistic mentality. So how does this impact clinical psychology? Well, let's first start with the power of the therapeutic relationship. The therapeutic relationship is the most powerful predictor of positive outcomes in therapy. It doesn't matter what theoretical orientation the therapist has. It doesn't matter what modality they use. If they're person first or person last, what population they work with. The therapeutic relationship is the most powerful predictor of success in therapy. And guess what? The therapeutic relationship is impacted by our mentality. So when you walk into a therapy session as a client and you're very pessimistic, right? You believe that nothing's gonna change. People are bad. Bad things always happen to me. When you walk in with that mentality, it's be very difficult for you to establish a positive therapeutic relationship. Because your beliefs are that people are bad. How do you know they're not bad? Because that's what you believe. You have a negative belief about humanity, about people. Therefore, you're going to approach the therapeutic relationship with skepticism, right? You may not be open to being vulnerable. You may not be open to sharing your authentic true self. You may not be open to doing the exercises the therapist suggests because you believe bad things happen to you, and therefore you resist it. Or maybe you have an overly optimistic mentality where you believe good things are happen all the time, right? The future is bright. Everybody's good. Everybody has happy endings. You might have an overly optimistic mentality. When you walk in with that mentality, you might have unrealistic expectations of therapy. You might expect that you just show up once and everything's gonna be better, right? You might not be open to doing the work because you believe things will just get better and you don't need to put in the effort. So your mentality, whether it's overly optimistic or pessimistic or any place in between, impacts your ability to establish a positive therapeutic relationship. Now, why is that important? Because the therapeutic relationship is the most powerful predictor of success in therapy. And so, if you walk into therapy with a mentality that makes it difficult for you to establish a positive therapeutic relationship, it's going to be hard for you to get the most out of therapy. Now, not impossible, but it's going to be harder. And so, what does this mean for the therapist? Well, as a therapist, you have to be aware that each person who walks through your door has a unique mentality, right? So it's your job to build rapport. It's your job to establish a positive relationship. It's your job to understand their mentality. Right? It's not going to be stated explicitly. You're not going to ask the client, hey, what's your mentality? You're not going to say, hey, are you an optimist or a pessimist? You're going to assess it. You're going to observe their behaviors, right? Are they coming to session and they very guarded and closed off, and they don't want to share anything personal? Why might that be? Could it be that they have a negative mentality and therefore they believe that people are bad and they believe bad things happen to them and they don't want to risk being hurt again? As a therapist, you want to be sensitive to that and realize that it's gonna take some extra time and effort to establish a positive therapeutic relationship and to help them become more open and vulnerable. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you may have clients who come in and they're overly optimistic. They have these big expectations. They're excited. Everything's great. Be careful of that too, because they may not be willing to do the work, right? As a therapist, you want NAA, make sure that you're resetting realistic expectations and that you're re-helping the client understand that therapy takes time and effort, and that you want NA, be sure that they recommitted to the process and that they understand that positive outcomes don't happen overnight. Your mentality also impacts the interventions that you choose to use as a therapist and the treatment plan that you develop with your client. If you're working with a client who has a very pessimistic mentality, they probably won't respond well to interventions that are very future-focused, right? They probably won't respond well to hope-focused interventions. If you're going to do cognitive restructuring with them, you probably want to focus on safety behaviors, right? What are you doing now to feel safe? Because they probably have a very negative cognitive triad, right? They probably believe that they are flawed, the world is flawed, and the future is flawed. And so if you jump in and you start asking them, hey, what do you want to accomplish in the future? That may not be effective because they do unbelieve that the future is ever gone. Nah. Be positive. And so, as a therapist, you want to tailor your interventions to meet them where they're at. And sometimes that means starting in the present moment and helping them recognize the safety behaviors that they engage in, helping them recognize the negative thoughts that they have. And then slowly but surely shift their mentality over time. I want to give you another example. They might be really resistant because they do unsee how the way they rethinking is causing them problems. Right? You want to help them recognize the negative self-fulfilling prophecies that they're creating. You want to help them create positive self-fulfilling prophecies, especially if they have an overly optimistic mentality where they're not being realistic, they're not setting realistic expectations. So there you have it, guys. That is how mentality impacts clinical psychology. I hope that was helpful. Please make sure to like and subscribe so you can be notified when we post new videos every single week. And I will see you next time.